First up, we have Fantasy Life. Fantasy Life directed, written by, and starring, or co-starring at least, Matthew Shear. I did not look up Matthew Shear's history, but I think Matthew Shear is pretty new to feature filmmaking, so I don't think there's a huge history there, but I could be wrong. Maybe he's done a bunch of things I've known about, and I just am not recognizing it. If that's the case, I apologize, Matthew. I should have known better. All right, so Matthew Shear here plays Sam. We also have Judd Hirsch briefly in here as Fred, his therapist. Sam's therapist, I should say. Amanda Peet as Diane. You may go, Amanda Peet, boy, she was like a staple of thousands, late 90s, early thousands indie kind of mainstream cinema. She was up and coming starlet sort of person. What's happened to Amanda Peet? Well, it's pertinent for this movie. And then David is Amanda's husband, played by Alessandro Nivola. So, what's the deal? At the very beginning here, we get Sam, and he's fired / leaving his kind of low-level law firm job where he seems to work as a file clerk or something in the basement. And he's obviously got some OCD sort of tendencies, some anxiety tendencies. He's definitely on meds. Like I said, he's got a therapist and Judd Hirsch, and he's this, I don't know, classic sort of schlubby failure to launch sort of dude. Although he seems to be on his own, he's just one of those guys. Now, this kind of comes from a long history of these sort of movies too, right? I mean, most obviously you could think of Woody Allen and the kind of characters and kind of stories Woody Allen would present. And obviously lots and lots of issues around Woody Allen, the person, but Woody Allen, the films he made, and there's some pretty great ones in there, especially in this kind of subgenre of kind of the nebbish, nerdy, sort of maladjusted dude trying to make his way through interpersonal relationships. And a lot of different people in that world being comedy and drama kind of mixed, and just a lot of interacting between different characters. Similarly, recently, you've got someone like Cooper Raiff making Cha-Cha Real Smooth and S-House. He also is going along a similar line. Or you could even say someone, Sorry Baby, I forgot her name, she's so good. Sorry Baby, she plays the other side, gender-wise, of that equation, where you just got to get these characters that are somewhat maladjusted in the world for some reason, and watching them survive in this world, and you just the fun, if there is fun to be had, and the interesting entertainment value is pretty much in the interpersonal relationships and character relationships more than it is a high-level plot. So, but what is the plot per se here? Well, the basic idea is, like, you can get from the beginning, he's adrift. He's adrift in his personal journey as a human in the world, and just in the world in general. And through the therapist, he gets a gig to babysit the kids of this rich couple that are played by Amanda Peet and, what was the name again? Alessandro Nivola, David and Diane. He meets them briefly, and he immediately recognizes Diane because the real actor, Amanda Peet, she also was a somewhat known actor, especially in the thousands, and at this point, she doesn't really work anymore. She's trying to revive her career, but she's mostly a mid-level, lower-level, kind of known actor who now is just having to deal with the idea that she's getting older and she's not really famous anymore. But there are people who certainly recognize her. And in fact, Sam here, he recognizes her as well. So he's a little starstruck, but he also is just doing this job, and he's nervous to take care of these three girls on a babysitting gig for the night. Now, I got to describe the dad a little bit. The David, he is your classic rich dude going through a midlife crisis, because when we meet him, he's getting gigs, he's playing in bands, but you don't get the idea. He's not a famous musician, but he'll like name drop the band he's with, and you're like, who is that band? So he's like playing in a band that maybe is like the fifth generation band that people knew 30 years or 20 years ago, and now they're just touring the circuit where the people who knew them love them, but newer generations don't know who they are. And he's playing as a non-original member of those bands. So he's kind of a journeyman musician, but it's taking away from his family, and he's trying to keep his spark alive as a famous musician, that kind of musician lifestyle. So to some degree, both parents are, I guess, trying to hang on to their youth in various ways, but David is doing it a lot more strenuously than Diane is. Diane seems to be coming to terms with the fact that she maybe just isn't going to be famous ever again. So David was there, yet they get the babysitting gig, and very quickly this transforms into almost like unofficially, the Sam just becomes a Manny for the family. And the way they make this happen is the movie's presented in the same way as there was a movie a while back, or a movie called The Four Seasons, where you dipped into these characters' lives in all four seasons of the year. Or even Steel Magnolias does that a little bit. Steel Magnolias revolves around all the different major holidays of the year. Similarly, we have a fall section, a spring section, a summer section, a winter section, so on and so forth. And that way, you'll just get time has passed, and you'll see, oh, Sam is now literally a nanny for this family, so on and so forth. And it's just a neat device to basically not explain how things have got to where they are, but to be in the newer, expanded relationship situation at that point. So how does this work? It works mostly around the friendship relationship and possibly romantic relationship between Diane and Sam. Because like I said, Sam is this very mild-mannered, very neurotic, but seemingly super sweet and a non-threatening dude. And of course, Diane, being this aging actress, she's still quite beautiful. She's very alluring to him as someone who's just way out of his league, but as someone who also, in her own right, is very sad and very lonely and abandoned by her husband, and also dealing with her own just emotional issues and just dealing with her ideas of becoming an older woman and not being as relevant in her world of acting anymore, and how she's getting some of that feedback from Sam, that she probably gives this idea that she's just alluring and interesting and fascinating and someone to obsess over. So, and in some hands, you could imagine this movie being like a stalker movie, but it never plays off like that. It plays much more two mildly broken characters. These aren't super broken characters. These aren't super destructive characters. These are people that can generally survive in their world. They're not hurting people in their world. They're not just burning their own lives down. But they are very quietly self-sabotaging themselves and clinging to things that may or may not be healthy to them. And there's a lot of humor here too. I want to put that up. This isn't just this big heavy drama. It is not at all. It's mostly just lightly humorous, and it's very easy to fall into these characters in these various segments of the movie and just wonder and root for them. You root for both characters. Even Sam, you kind of root for him, even though you know in your heart, like him having any sort of a romantic relationship with a married woman and a mother of 3 kids, who is this actor, is not going to probably go anywhere that he wants it to go. You're still rooting for him because he's such a schlub and he's such a sad sack and he's so sadly sweet and all this kind of stuff that it makes you want to hope for some good things to happen to him. And likewise, you want some good things to happen to her too, because she doesn't appear to be doing anything wrong, and Dad definitely seems to be pretty much out of the picture and not doing a whole lot in the family. So if that sounds interesting to you in a character standpoint, I think you'll enjoy this movie. And I think the main 2 characters, played by Matthew Shear and by Amanda Peet, are the core of this movie. If they work really well, I think you're going to like the movie. And if they don't work really well, you're not going to like it. I think they work really, really well. I think Sam, of course, he's playing the guy doing Sam is a triple threat. Matthew Shear is acting, directing, and writing this thing, so it's his baby. And he's effective in the role. And sometimes I see these things, I'm like, well, could you have just got an actor that did a really good job for you? But no, he does a really good job here, and I think he's perfect for this role. I don't know if he'd be perfect for everything he writes, but he's perfect for this role. Probably there's some elements of autobiography here as well. And Amanda Peet, to me, is the true revelation. For me, when she was around in the spotlight, per se, to me, she was always forgetful. She was always kind of the second version of a more hot career-wise and up-and-coming and big star of the time. She was always kind of that one, who's that one? Oh, that's Amanda Peet. Oh, yeah, she was in this movie, and she was in that movie. She's been in definitely some famous movies, but she always kind of a little bit like just recognizable, but a little bit like forgettable somewhat. To me, I mean, some people I'm sure love her as well. But here she is just fantastic, and she has just the perfect the perfect level of kind of pathos and world weariness, and you get the humor from her too. And she's also just, she's not a mean or pompous person at all. She's really way more down to earth than you expect her to be, which is of course one of the reasons Sam will fall for her too, because at one point they just sitting down watching Battlestar Galactica together, because they both are talking about how it'll help you when you're depressed or something, or feeling down. So I guess you could throw around a word like charming and it would really fit with this movie. And I guess the last thing you'd wonder is, well, is this going to be a romance? Like, how is this going to work out? And I think that what this movie does that's strong, I'm not going to spoil things, but what it does that's strong is it deals with both sides of that relationship in, to me, what feels like a really realistic way. And things aren't going to play out in a fantasy version. And of course, it's called Fantasy Life, right? So you could easily imagine a version of this where Sam just ends up with the girl and it's perfect and he made it, and his great awesome self being so unpompous and unpretentious and unselfish, he wins her over and he becomes the de facto dad. Now that would be very unsatisfying, I think, to some degree, because that would just be so fantasy life. But that's kind of, I think, what he imagines is going to happen for him. And of course, on her side, there's a certain path that could happen as well. I think the way it plays out, even with some broad humor moments in the third and fourth act, I think it still really works and resonates, and eventually gets to some real kind of emotional discoveries for both the Sam and Diane character. I think just dawned on me, Sam and Diane, that's the names of the characters in Cheers. I wonder if that was intentional. Anyway, I think the resolution, or the kind of the quiet resolution that occurs between the two characters is very satisfying to me emotionally, because it's more like the grown-up ending that a movie like this needs to have, as opposed to the I'm a 20-year-old, this is the ending I want to see ending. It's much more of an ending, I think, that's deeply emotionally resonant and satisfying. I think it ends up in the perfect place. I'm not going to talk about the ending. I know we will do spoilers in the upcoming future here on certain movies. I don't think this is a movie that really is a big spoiler kind of movie. If you imagine if you're watching something like, hey, did you watch Annie Hall? I'm going to spoil it for you. It's not really that kind of a movie. This is a movie where if you get into the relationships between the characters and the characters themselves, you're going to enjoy the movie. Now, if I watch another movie, I don't know, Avengers Endgame, a spoiler might be more pertinent to talk about. So I'm going to go 4 or 4.5. This is a really good movie. I think if you like this kind of movie, this is a really good version of this kind of movie. So I'm going to go 4.5 stars for Fantasy Life. I'm going higher than I thought I would go. I think Fantasy Life is really good, and hopefully it will catch some audiences out there. It's a hard sell for kind of middle America, but if you are missing acceptable versions of what Woody Allen used to throw down to some degree, I think this is maybe somewhere you can go to get that.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.